You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. A gigantic part of the conversation everywhere, despite the fact that LSU has just actually moments ago on their buses headed down Government Street toward North Baton Rouge to board a plane to Oxford, Mississippi, to rekindle one of LSU's oldest and greatest football rivalries, the Tigers and the Rebels. Cannon blasts, Halloween night, the night the clock stopped, the Ballad of Archie Who. You know all of the history. So naturally on this Football Friday, we would start with coaching rumors because the silly season is upon us. And every time a coach is asked about or addresses the LSU job, naturally we're going to talk about it here. Earlier this week, we let you hear from both Jimbo Fisher and Dabo Swinney as they were asked about the job. The latest is Penn State's James Franklin. Now, James Franklin is one of the betting favorites to become LSU's next head coach. He is a very popular name in coaching search circles. Earlier this year, when Clay Helton was fired at Southern Cal, he was immediately thrown into the conversation for that job. He denied interest. And this week, James Franklin, at his weekly press conference, was asked not specifically about the LSU job. The way the gutless reporter decided to ask the question was, Coach, do you get tired of hearing your name thrown about for different jobs? Here's what James Franklin said.
Yes. I've kind of already covered this. I know you're going at it from a different angle, but yes, you do. For me, I'm very. I guess the best way to describe it is I care what people think, and I want to handle things the right way all the time with the players, with the staff, with the administration. I want to use the golden rule, right, and treat people the way you'd want to be treated. So yeah, I want to come to work every single day and do my job and help these players achieve their dreams and the staff and do right by the university and the community. So yeah, I do.
So to be clear, James Franklin is tired of being asked about other jobs. Very pointed question from the reporter there and the media mecca of College Station, not College Station, Happy Valley there, wherever it is, in Penn State. Ask the guy if he has interest in the LSU job. And State College is what I was thinking. I knew it was a college there, State College, Pennsylvania. As a refresher, there are three types of answers to the coaching question. For a sitting coach asked about another job, there's the denial. That's Nick Saban saying, I'm not going to be the Alabama head coach. But then he became the Alabama head coach. There's the non-denial denial, which is what Jimbo did earlier this week. That's, I love my job. I got a great job. I want to keep my job. Didn't say, I don't want your job. He just said, I love my job. So it's the non-denial denial. And then there's just the non-denial. And that's what James Franklin did, where he didn't even address whatsoever loving his job or a lack of interest in another job. He just spoke sort of whimsically about wanting to help people reach their dreams. That was a total non-denial. He had the opportunity to say, if he wanted it, in an open platform, that he had no interest in the job. By not saying that, of course, speculation is going to run rampant. What ultimately this will come to is who Scott Woodward decides is the guy, because you've yet to hear, Dabo's the closest when he said the only Death Valley I'm concerned about is the one right over there. But you've yet to hear any other strong denials. You've heard non-denial denials and you've heard non-denials, but you haven't yet heard the very strong denial, which means most of these coaches would keep their option open if the opportunity to take the LSU job were there. James Franklin is squarely in that mix. Listen, he can stay at Penn State his whole career if he wants to. He's a Pennsylvania guy, and Penn State hasn't won a national championship in more than 30 years. So it's been almost 40 years now. But Penn State is not going to be winning a national championship in this era of college football. It's not to say they can't catch lightning in a bottle at some point, but to constantly and consistently be there, it's not going to happen in State College, Pennsylvania. So James Franklin understands you can stay there at Penn State, make $5 million a year, have a ton of job security, but always have this glass ceiling. Or you can go to a place where the last 3 coaches have won a national championship and they could close to double your salary. Are you interested? Of course you have the conversation. Every coach always has the conversation. You at least have that exploratory thought and you hear out the other side. Where does it go? I don't know. I've been told that William Tate, as LSU's president, has a very strong interest in James Franklin being at the top of his list. Is it ultimately his decision or Scott Woodward's? My belief is that there will be a collaborative effort, but Scott's the AD and will get to hire the coach based on whatever parameters are set forth with criteria and salary and all that stuff. Remember also, James Franklin has a $4 million buyout. My opinion is when you are willing to spend $17 million to make Ed Ogeron go away and another $9.5 million to pay off the rest of his staff, you're basically spending $26 million for a bunch of men to not coach your team. If you're going to make that kind of financial commitment into having these people not coach your team, you sure as hell aren't going to be scared away by a $4 million buyout or whatever it would cost. Let me say that again, whatever it would cost to get the person you want. You are all in. It is you have pushed all the chips to the center. You've put your net worth on black, and you are waiting for that roulette wheel to spin. You are going all in on this if you were willing to pay the money you did to get Ed Ogeron out, because that means if you spent $26 million of some rich guy's money, you cannot screw up this hire. So whatever it costs to get it right in the minds of the LSU administrators, they're going to make it right financially. So yes, James Franklin would very much be in the mix if LSU does choose to go down that path. Another name that people mention often is Joe Brady. So Joe Brady had media availability on Thursday of this week with the Carolina Panthers. It's worth rehashing this. Brady was at LSU for 1 season. He had come here to LSU from the New Orleans Saints. Prior to that, he was in the college game. Coincidentally, he had been at Penn State there under Joe Moorhead. But now he's with the Carolina Panthers. The book on Joe Brady when he was here was that he did not like recruiting and was looking for a way to get back into the NFL. Joe Brady had NFL head coaching interviews last year before this season, and my opinion firmly is that he will be an NFL head coach next year. But nonetheless, Joe Brady was asked his thoughts on the Ed Ogeron news about Ed Ogeron being fired.
Yeah, no, I didn't really have any thoughts. Unfortunately for us, we just came off of a loss, when all that stuff came out. So that was the last, there's a lot more things on my mind. So I don't really have many thoughts with that. I had a great experience, my time in there, but I was way more concerned with our performance, this past Sunday and finding ways for us to improve it this Sunday. I
think that's an understandable response. And then he was asked if he had any interest in the LSU job.
All those things, from a coaching perspective are things that, I don't really pay a lot of attention to. It's one of those things like after seasons, I think about those things. But right now, I got to do a better job of being the offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers. And that's all I'm really concerned about right now.
Again, that is the non-denial. Remember the tiers. There's the denial, the non-denial, and then the non-denial. That was a non-denial. So if Joe Brady wanted the conversation around his name to quiet down, he did nothing there to silence that at all by just saying all I'm concerned about is being better with the Carolina Panthers. So we press on with Scott Woodward with a sharpened pencil. You wouldn't sharpen your pen. That would be counterproductive. With a sharpened pencil, an open checkbook, and a lot of guys who have yet to deny outright interest in his job with about 6 weeks before we get an answer. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.